السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a good night's rest. Day 9. Day 9 of Intensive 4. We only have 2 days left. The time really flew by. 30, 39 days. Today makes 39th day. Subhanallah. Okay, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, amma ba'd. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم آمين. So inshallah, let's get started. I know the regular classes have been pretty much review anyways, but I hope you guys still have some leftover review questions for me too. Oh, let me make sure that website is up. Okay. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. I have not uploaded the workbook key. I got some emails about that. I haven't uploaded the key yet. I still have to make the key, actually. So it'll be up, inshallah, in the next few days. Does the ending matter in sarf? The ending does not matter in sarf, except for when we're looking at conjugations, right? When we're looking at all of the forms of the past tense, then the ending matters. Or when we're looking at all of the forms of the present tense, then the ending matters. But for example, if we're going from um, a present tense word to a present tense passive word, then we leave the ending alone. I got a question about that too. I got an email about that as well. For example, we were doing the word, I believe it was تتبعين. We were doing تتبعين, and somebody asked, how come when we made this passive, um, it didn't become تتبعاني? How come it didn't become تتبعاني? And the reason it didn't become تتبعاني is because everything that on the ayn and after it is a part of the ending, and we don't touch the ending. So this stays the same. تتبعين is the passive of تتبعين. So um, in that sense, we don't touch the endings. When it comes to the sort of a single word, like the entire sort of only the past tense, or the entire sort of only the present tense, then yeah, we look at the beginning and ending too. So it depends on how you're looking at to determine uh, if you're going to affect the ending or not. How would I get the family for question 25 of yesterday's homework? Yesterday's homework. Oh, it's the same word, right? تتبعين. This one's a little bit complicated because of the shadda, but I walked through this one a little bit yesterday, how to narrow it down. Really, what it narrows down to is if you take it back to the huwa form, you'll end up with tattabi'u, or yattabi'u, sorry. And none of the families match, or even come close to matching yattabi'u, except for iqtaraba. That's the only one that comes close. Um, ta'allama doesn't match because the shadda would need to be on the third letter, and also ta'allama doesn't have a kasra. Then tasa'ala, there's no alif here. Inqalaba, there's no noon here. Istaghfara, there's no seen here. So the only one that even remotely comes close is iqtaraba, yaqtaribu. Um, and then from there, you just have to kind of, at this point right now, you have to take a leap of faith. You would have to take a guess that it's iqtaraba, but soon you'll be able to tell for sure that it's اقترب. So on Sumaya, uh, on the in the workbook for Uslima, the word doesn't actually exist because the word aslama is intransitive. It doesn't have a passive. But I gave the I gave the definition just to give you an example of what passive would look like. Maybe that just confused you more, but in reality, Uslima doesn't exist. Neither does Yuslamu or Muslamun. None of those words actually exist. Number 30, page 3 in the workbook from Karuma. Takfuru? No, takfuru is from kafara yakfuru, nasara yansuru. Can I? Okay, let's do it with this word again. So, given the word tattabi'ina, we want to take this back to the huwa form. You already should be very, very familiar with the present tense chart by now, right? Yuslimu, yuslimani, yuslimuna, tuslimu, tuslimani, yuslimna, and so on, all the way to the end. You should be familiar with this. So you should know that the huwa form only ever begins with a ya. Yuslimu or it's either you or ya, right? So we have yu'allimu, yujahidu, yuslimu, and then the rest start with ya. يتعلم, يتساءل, يقترب, ينقلب, يستغفر, ينصر, and so on. So whatever that first letter is, whether it's ta or hamza or noon, you're always going to change it to a ya. And you're going to keep the vowel on it. If it's u, it's going to stay u. If it's a, it's going to stay a. But the letter itself will change to a ya. So that's the first thing we do. يتبعين. Now we have to figure out the ending. If it's already ending in an u, then we're good. Because remember, the ending of the Hua version is always u. يعلم, يجاهد, يسلم, يتعلم, يتساءل, so on. It's always u at the end. So we need to figure out which part of this is a part of a combination and which part of this is a part of the actual letter. And we already learned the different combinations, right? When we learned the present tense chart, we learned all of the different ending combinations. We know ina is a combination already. So we're going to remove the ina. Then all we're going to do is we're going to replace that last letter with u. And that's how you take it back. Now that's the huwa form. Yattabi'u. So the first letter should always be ya, and then the last letter, the lam letter should always have an u at the end. And that's how you take it back. Alright, sure, that's fine, yeah. The same rules apply to ittakhadhu? No. So yet ittaba'a and ittakhadha, they might look the same, but they are two different weirdnesses. The root for ittaba'a yattabi'u ittiba'an. The root for this is The, that's the root for this one. But for the other one we talked about, اتخذ, يتخذ, اتخاذا. The root for this one is not تأخذ, it's hamza kha zal. And this difference on how to know when it's da and when it's hamza is something that will come. We haven't learned about weird solf yet, and this one is weird solf. But if you're talking about do the same rules apply when taking it back? Then yes, the same rules apply when taking it back. How many pages is the textbook? If you're talking about the textbook that we're going to start using next time, that textbook is very, very thick. It's about 555 pages. And then there's a workbook too, and that's 453 pages. So about 1,000 pages total. Say it. I don't think you want to print that workbook or the textbook. But if you really, really want to, then I'll see if I can share it. I'm not sure if I can share it, but I'll try to find out if I can. Is this اقترب? Yes, this is اقترب. Both of these are اقترب. Is there a sound issue? I don't think there's a sound issue. Everybody else can hear me. What pages should you print? I don't know about anything about. We're gonna go through the whole textbook, so if you really, really want to print it, then all of it, I guess. Warda Ustad talked about that at the end of last class, so you can check that out. Insha'Allah. Is number 31 the Hua version? No, 31 is not the Hua version. 31 is either the Hia or the Anta version. To make it Hua, you would just change the beginning Ta into a Ya. So Tanfuhu, you would change it into Yanfuhu. That would be the Hua version. Maha, I don't know yet if I'm going to be taking review sessions after tomorrow. I don't think I will be because there's the way we have it set up in the app is different. I'm not sure. We'll let you guys know. No, Sophia, I can't explain yet because one of them is weird and we haven't learned it yet. So I'm not gonna teach it to you. I'm not a teacher. I'm merely a teacher's assistant. Taz, you can tell the difference between yansuru and yakrumu once you have both the past tense and the present tense. Because yansuru, the past tense is nasara with a fatha on the ain letter. Nasara yansuru. But for karuma yakrumu, you have dhamma and then you have dhamma in the past tense and dhamma in the present tense. That's how you tell the difference. The families for 30, 31, and 32. Okay, I'll just do them quickly. Takfuru, 30 is nasara yansuru. Tanfuku, um, I believe this one is also nasara yansuru. Um, yeah, it should be nafakha yanfuku. And then which one was the last one? 32. Bayyana, yubayyinu is the allama family. So it's nasara for 30, nasara for 31, and then allama for 32. What about the posters? Man, you guys really, really want to know about the posters. Um, I sent Ustad the posters that I liked yesterday, and he has to look through them still. So it's out of my hands now. How do I know it's not yakrumu? Because yakrumu, if you have to guess between yansuru and yakrumu, then yakrumu is very, very rare. So if you had to guess, you would guess yansuru. You need family. Okay, 30 we already did. It was nasara. 31 we already did. Was nasara again. 37 is it's also nasara. Dhakara yadhkuru. And 38 is rafa'a yarfa'u, which is fataha yaftahu. For 33, تأذن يتأذن. This is family تعلم يتعلم. Can I give examples of every small family? Sure. Just go onto the document. There's actually two of them. There's two separate documents that are available on the student study materials part of the website. One's called Sarf Families, the other one's called Full Sarf Breakdown, and both of them have examples of all six. No, the review workbook answer key is not up yet. Um, I'm not answering your question. Usually, if I'm not answering your question, it's either because I didn't see it or it's off topic. I promise I don't have anything. I don't have anything against any of you, so I don't purposefully ignore any questions. Um, but I apologize if you feel that way. 16 is intashara. This would be a part of the iqtaraba family. If you have to choose between inqalaba and iqtaraba, choose iqtaraba. Remember that. And then 26 is تقطع يتقطع. This is family تعلم يتعلم. Noorlina, you're not only changing it to a sukun, you're not only making it lightest, but you're also taking off the first letter. So, for example, yu'allimu, we didn't just say the command is yu'allim. It's allim, right? We took off the ya as well. So it's make it lightest and then take off the first letter. So yu'allim or yu'allimu becomes allim. Yujahidu becomes jahid. Yuslimu becomes aslim, and so on. You always remove the first letter and you make it lightest. And then if you need to, you can add a an alif at the beginning too. Number 36. Didn't I do 36 already? 36. I didn't do 36. Tu'ajibani is if you take off the dual ending, you are left with. Let me write this one down. Okay. If you take off the ani ending, you know ani is an ending combination. So take that off and you're left with tu'ajibu. Then take it back to huwa form, yu'ajibu, and you know that this rhymes with, or this sounds like something you're already familiar with. Aslama yuslimu. So this would be yuslimu yu'ajibu. So this would be aslama family. How do you know when to put the alif in front of a word to get it back to a huwa version? Like example 16. Well, you know that 16 has to be either in qalab or iqtaraba, and no matter which one you pick, in the past tense, it's gonna start with the the alif always. The past tense for those families always start with the alif. So that's just something you know because you know the family, and that's why we're learning Saf, right? Why is there alif with tanween in the word shukran? Why is it tanween? Now in the ra. Marissa, remember isms. Shukran is an ism. Isms are common and they're heavy by default, right? So, like for example, when we did the Muslim chart, we didn't say al muslimu. We didn't say muslimu either. It's common and it's heavy by default. So the tanween is there by default. You would need a reason to remove it. So shukran is also in ism. It's mansub. Shukrun, shukran, bin. That's why it has tanween. Yes. Seljuvet, I hope I pronounced that name right. Um, you would know the root letters by looking at the family. So if you come across ta'allama, for example, you know that ta is a part of the family, it's not a part of the root. So all you're left with is ayn, lam, and mim. And that's how you would do all of them. Istaghfara, you know the ist is all a part of the family. So then you're left with ghain, fa, and ra, and so on. LB, it's not that you can choose whichever one it is, it's that the Arabs have already chosen which one's going to be more common. And that's the one they're going to use. So for jahada specifically, that word, jahada yujahidu, you heard the word jihad before, but I'm assuming you probably haven't heard the word mujahada before. Likewise, for some words in that family, you'll have heard the mujahada form, but not the jihad form. So it's whichever one is more commonly used. Both of them are valid words, but one of them is going to be more commonly used. We said the same thing for the small families. The small families, we have the dharf, right? And there are three of them: masjidun, masjidun, and masjadatun, right? So these are all valid words. They all mean the same thing. They're all real words, but which one is actually going to be used? That's up to whichever one's more popular. And the one that's more popular here is masjid. You've heard masjid before. That's the one that's used. Doctor, that's just how it is because they're both used. That's why. How to look for family in past tense? Well, past tense is actually easier than present tense because past tense has endings that are really, really easy to recognize, right? So, for example, if I gave you let's say, let me pick a word off the list of the homework actually. Not the homework, but the workbook. Okay. So ustunsirtum. This is from the the this is from the page 2 of the recognition workbook, number 18. Ustunsirtum. This is just the one I'm using as the example. Um, this tum ending that you're looking at, you're 90% more 99% of the time you see an ending like this, it's gonna be a past tense word. And also, you don't even have to guess anymore. You can look at the family and you could tell it starts with Hamza Sin Ta, right? And you know Hamza Sin Ta is a part of the Istaghfar family. And this has the UE pattern. So this is the Istaghfar family made passive. Ustughfira. And then it has the tum ending. So once you see it like this, and when you have an ending like tum or ta or tuma or ti or tunna or tu or na, that's the easiest because then you can automatically tell that it's a fi'l madi. Then you can just remove it. It gets a little bit more difficult when you have the huwa or when you have the huma or hum endings. Then it's a little bit more difficult. But if you can recognize it as a past tense fi'l from the family, and then you look and you see it has an u ending, for example, right? Then you can still tell that this is a fi'l madi. It's in home form. All you have to do is you have to take it off and put a fatha back on the last letter, and that's how you take it back. And if I wanted to make this present again, then I would just match it up with istaghfara. So istaghfara, istansara, and that's the original word. I hope that was clear. I feel like that one was a bit confusing, but I hope it was clear. Number 9 of page 3. Tumbitna. Okay, you know this is present tense already, so you know you have to look at the beginning and the ending. So the beginning we have tu, and at the end we have na. There are only two words on the entire chart that end in na, and that's the hunna, yunbitna, and the antunna, tunbitna. So this is the antunna because the ta and the na. So to take it back to huwa, actually, what was your question? Was it to take it back to huwa? Okay, just explain. Okay, I'll explain. Um, so to take this back to the huwa version, we're going to get rid of the na ending, and then we're going to change the last letter back to u. So now we have tun b2. Then we need to take it back to the huwa form. So we change the ta to a ya, yun b2. And now we just have to match this up with another one of the present tense words in the families that we know. So yu'allimu, we don't have a shadda here, can't be that. Yujahidu, no alif, can't be that. And the only one left that starts with U is yuslimu, and this one matches yuslimu perfectly. So this is the aslama family. Aslama yuslimu. So this one is anbata yunbitu. Barira, remember, present tenses by default always end in u, right? Yu'allimu, yujahidu, yuslimu, yata'allamu, yatasa'alu, yanqalibu, yastaghfiru, yaqtaribu, yansuru, yaftahu, yadribu. What am I missing? Yasma'u, yahsibu, and yakrumu. they always end in U by default. They only end in A when we make them light. Yes, 22 is the same as 9. Amna, you can have the answer key as soon as I make it. I haven't made it yet. 27. I think I've done 27 already. Um, Yahshuru. Okay, Yahshuru looks like Yansuru or Yakrumu. And again, if we have to guess between Yansuru and Yakrumu, we always guess Yansuru. So Hashara Yanshuru. Yes, Ridwan. Passives can also have outside done tos. Like for example, Duriba Zaidun. Zaid was hit. Number 28, Nughadiru. So this one's very easy. We can see from the noon at the beginning, this is a nahnu version of a present tense. So we just need to change the noon to ya, and we're back to huwa. Yughadiru. Now we need to match it. Starts with you, so it has to be one of the first three. Yu'allimu has a shadda, doesn't match. Yujahidu has an alif and the u, so this matches. This is yujahidu. Jahada yujahidu. Ghadara yughadiru. Who is Zayd? Zayd is the name that's used by the Arabs in all of their examples. That's who Zayd is. Why do you prefer families? Well, it's just in between inqalaba and iqtaraba, Mishi. Iqtaraba is just it just occurs more often. I can't tell you why it occurs more often. It just does. Um, Nasara, likewise, it occurs more often uh, than all of the other ones. Actually, Nasara is probably the most common of the six. That's just how it is. I can't really tell you much beyond. That's how it is. Ibyadlah is not a family that we've learned yet. Zuleha, don't just straight memorize. Try to find things that will give you hints, right? Allama has a shadda, and so does ta'allama. But ta'allama has a ta, and allama doesn't. Ta'allama always has an extra ta, so that's how you tell the difference between those two. Same thing for jahada and tasa'ala, right? They both have the alif, but tasa'ala will always have an extra ta. So that's how you But that's one of the ways you can tell the differences. Each family has something unique about it that can tell it apart from everything else. وإياك. Number 33, Sadaf is تعلم. Yes, you're correct. Yes, 33 is تعلم. Do you have to download the Huda app? I actually don't know how that's gonna work yet. To to be honest, can I please explain how to determine which is past or present tense? Still confused. Well, each one has different endings, right? For the past tense, the huwa form is always gonna end in a fatha, lama. Whereas for the present tense, it'll always start with ya and end in u, yuslimu. And then from there, you have all of the different beginnings and endings. This is why we memorize the chart. We memorize the chart for past tense and the chart for present tense, so we can tell the difference between the two. Past and present really don't look anything alike. I don't think there's any words in between the two that look the same. Yeah, I don't think there's any ones that look the same. And most of the words in the past tense are going to be very, very clear because the ending is unique. It doesn't really show up anywhere else. So here, the ta sukun, the hunna version, and then all the anta version, all the second person endings. So it's really just down to, I guess, memorize the chart. That's the best way to tell the difference. Once you memorize the chart and you know it well, you shouldn't really have trouble with recognizing past from present. Yes, 37 is also nasara yansuru, dhakara yadhkuru. Which family is 38? 38 is family fataha. Rafa'a, yarfa'u, fataha, yaftahu. Yeah, the present tense passives can look confusing. You're definitely right about that. Why not hasiba? For which one? Sarah or Sarah? Why not hasiba for which one? Yeah, so there's a sarf saghir, masrat, there's a sarf saghir, and then there's a sarf kabir. So sarf saghir is when you go through the family. So علم يعلم تعليما فهو معلم علم يعلم تعليما فهو معلم الأمر منه علم والنهي عنه لا تعلم والظرف منه معلم. That's صرف صغير. صرف كبير is when you go into each word and you do the صرف of that too. So علم علما علموه علمتهما علمتاهن علمنا, and you do all of that. Then you would go to يعلم ويعلمهما يعلمان هم يعلمون, and all of that, and so on. So that's صرف كبير. Have I explained 26? تتقطعين. تتقطعين is the anti version of تتقطع, and تتقطع is family تعلم يتعلم. LB, I don't think that's something I'm qualified to elaborate on. Sayed, I don't think that PDF is available for everybody yet. I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's public. It's just available for everybody yet. So the order that we learned the six small families in, that's pretty much the order of popularity too. Nasara yansuru is the most popular. So then فتح يفتح, then ضرب يضرب, then سمع يسمع, then حسب يحسب, and then finally كرم يكرم is the most rare. So take that into account when you're guessing. Can I have two answers? The only time you'll have two answers in the present tense is when you're looking at the hiya and anta versions. So let's take yuslimu. The hiya and anta both look like tuslimu. Tuslimu could be both hiya and anta. And the other one is if you have um, tuslimani, this one could be hiya, antuma, or antuma, masculine or feminine. So those are the two words or forms that can have multiple answers. MA, yeah, the PDF for the families, all 14 of them is on the website. There's two different PDFs. Yeah, we're gonna do the rest of Surah Munafiqun, M Riyaz. We are going to do the rest of it. Um, just not. Well, actually, we're supposed to start the second ayah soon. 23 and 30 are 23. Yes, 23 is also Nasara. 30 is also Nasara. 999, around when regular class usually starts, if I had to guess. Immortal Soul, it's not just about memorizing though. It's about being able to recognize the words when you see them. So if just memorizing, for some people, just memorizing is enough, and from that they'll be able to recognize. But um, other people need to take extra time and put in extra practice to be able to recognize everything. Intensive 4 will end tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day of intensive 4, inshallah. And since we're talking about ending, that's a good place for me to stop. Inshallah, we'll start the next class soon. So, jazakumullahu khairan. Did I answer your question? I think I did, but I don't remember what your question was. But I'm pretty sure I answered it because I remember your name. Tuslimani is not passive. Okay. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.